What's up, you guys? Today's episode is brought to you by, well, just me, I guess. Okay, making money as a composer. It is incredibly difficult. It's notoriously challenging, but that does not mean it's impossible. As a note to start out, I want to express a little bit of frustration that I have with the clickbait and viral videos that I've been seeing circulating on Facebook and YouTube claiming six-figure composer incomes if you just follow this online course. That's very frustrating, at least to me, because it doesn't match my professional experience. It doesn't match, I would say, the experience of a lot of my colleagues. The reason we've turned this into a full-time income is because very deliberately, very patiently, and very carefully, we have fostered professional relationships, in some cases for decades. I've been doing this just over 10 years. It takes a lot of patience. And so if someone is telling you there's a way to do it quickly and easily, they're likely not lying, but omitting a lot of the story of how they got to where they are today. But frustrations aside, let's talk about why all of us got into this field. Of course, we want to make money doing it, but there was likely three primary ways we really wanted to make our money composing. We wanted to write for big budget studio features, big motion pictures. We wanted to compose for AAA games, and we wanted to write for primetime television series. There are thousands of us vying for opportunities, and a lot of these opportunities for media's big three go to the creative 1%, as I call them. You know, these are the folks that are at the top of their game. They've been doing this for decades, and they've worked really hard to get where they are. So I'm not saying it's a bad thing that all of these high-profile jobs are going to these composers. By all means, they've earned it. However, what it does mean is that we have to change the way we think of a composing income, at least for the rest of us who aren't part of that creative 1%. So what are some other ways beyond media's big three that we can make an income composing music? Well, outside of film, television, and games, there's of course television commercials, you guys. Especially if you live in New York or here in Minneapolis like I do, you're living in an industry center for the advertising world. And guys, don't knock commercial composing. You can make anywhere from $3,000 to well over $10,000 per commercial spot. Does that happen all the time? No, but if it happens a couple of times per year, that can more than help make ends meet, pay rent, pay your student loans, pay for your kids to go to school. Number two, the second way you can create a composing income is by writing production music. You guys, production music is a monstrously big topic in and of itself, and it's likely something I'm gonna have to cover in another video. But suffice it to say that doing things like writing, film trailer music or, ad music that can get picked up by creative agencies and ad houses to be used and licensed in their commercials. This can be a really great way to generate a composing portfolio as well, and sort of diversify your creative income as a composer. The third way you can generate a composing income is actually by not necessarily composing, but creating tools for composers. You can create sample libraries or instrument presets and things of that nature. I was talking with a colleague who made a substantial amount of money last year alone creating instruments for Contact. You guys, this is not just something that small, independent, up-and-coming composers are doing either. Look at Hans Zimmer. He's released 1 million different libraries with Spitfire Audio. It can be a great way to sort of supplement your income and have something that's creatively diversified as well. The fourth way to make a creative income as a composer is to do miscellaneous production work. This is kind of a catch-all category, and for lack of a better term. What you can do is things like arranging parts for artists that are producing albums, doing, miscellaneous production work like commercial cut downs. We'll have like 30 and 60-second versions. Sometimes agencies will reach out. They can't get an album released on time, so they need help tidying up some of the loose ends for the production side of things. Mixing, doing some mastering. These are also great ways to make a creative income as a composer while you're waiting for that next project to happen. I also want to mention that I actually wrote a whole article on the diversified composer's income. That link is in the description if you're interested. So let's talk about something I call income valleys. Income valleys are essentially the reality that we face as freelancers and as independent composers. We get a job and we make a certain amount of money, And then the job ends and we wait for the next one. Our income goes down, our income goes down, up, next job, our income goes back up, and the cycle continues. If we were to kind of map it out, it would look like a bunch of bell curves sort of lined up in a row. Now, this is fine, assuming the jobs that get you to the top of any given peak are big enough to sustain you during the valleys. But what if we were to diversify and start taking on some more of the different types of composer work that we just discussed? What would happen to those income valleys? Well, if we're getting a film job, instead of going back down in terms of income as we're waiting for our next job to come through, whoops, we've been doing production music as well. So suddenly, what originally would have been a valley, maybe will be our first quarter of income from our PRO or our performing rights organization, ASCAP, BMI, or CSAC, and usually while we'd be waiting for our next film, we took on some teaching work. So that kind of helps fill it in as well. We're helping younger composers learn the craft that you've learned over years at a time. And here comes another income valley. But our next film starts. Here comes another income valley. But thankfully, amidst all of that, we had been pitching for a commercial spot and we found out that we actually won the job. You guys diversifying your portfolio in terms of the type of work that you're taking on as a composer is a great way to smooth out these income valleys and become a full-time composer faster and sooner. Now, I know what some of you are going to say. You're going to say, Will, you're forgetting the reason we got into this field is because we want to score film, television, and games. I get it, you guys. It's incredibly rewarding. My experiences in film and television have been really exciting, albeit exhausting sometimes, but they've been wonderful. But you have to ask yourself this question: how is it you want to spend your time? If you're okay having a side hustle, like I did, working on a factory line to save up money to move to Los Angeles right after college, that's fine. If you want to spend more time being creative and less time doing a day job, you may have to expand your definition of what it means to be a full-time working composer. If you expand your income portfolio and expand the type of projects you're taking on, you may be able to quit your day job sooner and become a professional full-time composer sooner. Now, don't misunderstand. I feel like it's important I clarify. There's nothing wrong with a day job. If you are meeting your financial obligations to yourself, your spouse, your dependents, or your family, that is what matters most. I feel in some respects, this message about diversifying your income is more important now amidst COVID-19 than ever before. You guys, we've been reminded that there is no such thing as a sure thing. Engaging a full-time creative career was a challenging endeavor before the global economy started to take a downturn. We've been reminded, you guys, that we need a plan B, C, and D if we want composing and producing music to remain a full-time career. So you guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Until next time, take care and stay healthy. If you enjoyed this video, please feel free to subscribe and like below. All proceeds generated will likely go towards Asha's college fund here.